everyone, what's going on? Chicago Trader here, checking in for the weekly fundamental video. Hope you guys had a nice trading week here. I'm going to go over one name a little bit more in depth, and then a couple others I'll just skim at the end. But wanted to kind of dig into this one, REKR Systems. The ticker's REKR. Kind of just got brought to my attention. Someone in chat had mentioned it, and kind of got to looking at the chart, and definitely an interesting play here. So if you look at it, if you guys haven't seen it already, April, this thing is down here at 60 cents, and it's had quite the run, all the way up to almost 550 at its close. So once I, kind of started digging into it, there's a few things that I thought were kind of interesting that caught my attention. So the first one was an 8K from the 18th of March here. So usually when I'm looking through these 8Ks, I don't look for anything in particular, but material definitive agreements are usually things that I just go check it over, because a lot of times it can be with raising money or reducing warrants, whatever it is. So basically, the company's not that large. At this time, I think that the company has market cap is around $10-20 million. And here they basically do they agree to a note of up to $20 million. So, nothing to see. But once you kind of get the reading into it, they pay $650,000 in fees. They're going to be paying monthly installments of $40,000 each. And then here on this last sentence, on the earlier of the maturity date or payment in full of the obligations under the note purchase agreement, the company shall pay an exit fee of $1 million. So essentially, if they pay it off, obviously when it's due, or they pay it off earlier, they have to pay $1 million fee. So definitely, the thing with these, financing agreements and offerings and everything, guys, you can usually tell from the, some of the details around it, kind of what, the bank thinks of the company, right? So I've looked at a lot of these before, and, they can pay some absurd interest on it, but I think it's in this one, hopefully. Maybe not, but then I'll jump to that here in a second. So then they also, so again, the stock was around 50, 60 cents, issued the company 2.5 million shares of warrants at 74 cents. So instead of just giving them, a couple $1 million, they'll just issue them warrants as a sweetener. So I was looking into that. Let me go here through my highlights. If you guys don't know, anything you highlight on this BAMSEC, which is $25 a month, you can kind of come over here and look at it. Where was it at? Bear with me for a second. Oh, here it is. So this is in the most recent 10Q. So under this agreement, they pay. Where's that? Anyways, I'll find it. They pay 24%. There it is. The effective interest rate on $20 million that they borrowed is 24.8%, which is absurd. They're going to pay almost $5 million in interest. And they gave the company, the 2.5 million warrants at 74 cents. So whoever gave these guys money is just absolutely banking. So I'm going to scroll to the top of this 10Q. Sorry about that, guys. Company's got 20 million shares. Pretty low on cash. And one thing I did, kind of realize is they have $7 million in receivables, and you don't know when it's going to come in, how much is going to come in, so you got to kind of play that one out. Obviously got a lot of debt now with this. Losing about call it $900,000 a month. So they're going through a decent amount of cash. The company, they do AI for a few different industries, law enforcement, banks, logistics. So it's not a complete fraud, I guess, like business model. What else was there to see in here? Yeah, so see, this is another thing with the accounts receivable. You can, a lot of times they'll tell you how much they expect is, to receive. If any of it's doubtful, if they don't think they're going to get paid, and it's just a little bit, a few $100,000. But anyway, so here's what I wanted to kind of just put it all together. Obviously, this isn't investment advice, guys, on my part or MIC, so do your own due diligence. But the company had 19 million shares outstanding. The float's about 10 million. And that, you got to obviously, this is where it comes a little bit tougher when they got these warrants in the money. If they're exercised, it's about 12.5 million shares. If we zoom in here on the chart, let me just get this real quick. The highest closing price I think was 536, 535, somewhere around there. So you can see there's a pretty big difference. If they got the 12.5 million shares, right? So if they did exercise all the warrants times 536, which is the highest closing price in the last 60 days, they can raise, $67 million divided by 3 because they're restricted, $22 million. So, and even if they can't, say, if they haven't exercised the warrants, then you can have about $18 million. So that's why I'm sitting here thinking, okay, so the cash, they're under probably $3 million of cash, even if they did exercise the warrants. So, they got at least, 2 or 3 months of cash. They can raise all this money to pay off the debt if they wanted. So it's obviously difficult to time an offerings in some instances. And, it can run a lot longer than you expect, but it just seems very logical that they could just raise money and do an ATM or whatever it may be and pay this off and be clear of it. So that was, I think, mostly what I had highlighted. I don't know. I'm sure I got some other stuff with that one, but so and then kind of the last thing I want to touch on was VISL and SLS I covered in the last few videos because they're very dilutive offerings. They got the pre-funded warrants, they got warrants, they got common share. It's just a disaster and how fast they can dilute those. A while back, one of my better deep dives was OBLN. It's a biotech company. I don't know. You eat balloons or something, and you're supposed to lose weight. I don't know. It's mind blowing. This was the one where they did an offering. 5 days later, the investors received the shares. Then there was this anonymous Seeking Alpha article that said that the company was going to get bought out for $8 a share by Johnson & Johnson. It was trading at like 80 cents, so I mean, obviously it was just a crock of shit, to say the least. But the reason I want to go over this one is the same thing. They admitted their S1, and then they came out here, and what was the market cap? Yeah, so it's like a $15 million market cap last week. And you can see it. They have, they offer shares, pre-funded warrants, and warrants itself. So I think it raised $15 million. Well, they haven't even updated this. But yeah, my news feed, Trade the News, came out and said, had the details on it. So they'll probably update this, I would assume, Monday or Tuesday of next week, just to show you guys a little bit of the details of the offering if you don't have Trade the News or News Edge or anything like that. So just a couple of quick ones I wanted to cover. So I'm going to be definitely watching REKR next week, and if you guys have any questions on this or if I find anything else out, I'll be sure to let you guys know. Thanks.